My husband thought he could convince me to open our marriage after I said no because his poly friends made it sound fun, but then I found out he'd already been sleeping with them for months, so now he gets to experience how open his new single life can be. Posted by u/varsafety9543. This is really upsetting to me on all accounts, and I'm getting mixed opinions from the few real-life people I've talked to about it, so I could use the advice of total strangers. I, 26F, and my husband, 27M, have been married for just over a year and together for 4. We spent a long time before getting married talking about what we wanted out of being married, so I thought we were on the same page about all the important things. I do love him very much. He is sweet, helpful, and generally my dream partner until last week. Out of the blue, he sat down one night and said he wanted to talk about something. I thought it was just something minor he was frustrated about, or a bad day at work, or something. Instead, he talked about how he found out that his best guy friend and his wife are polyamorous. He and his friend have been talking about it more, and he thinks he might like to try it and wondered what I thought. I felt instantly sick to my stomach. We've always had a great intimate life and he's never given me any reason to think he was interested in anyone else. I told him that I'm not interested in being in a polyamorous relationship. I want to be monogamous with him for the rest of my life. If it had stopped there, I don't think it would have gotten so bad, but then he asked if I would read about it and then decide. I said no, I already know how I feel about it. He asked if I would at least think about it, and for some reason that just did something to me. Like instant revulsion kind of upset. I got up and told him that I was too upset to keep talking and that I needed some space, so I would sleep in the guest room that night and we could talk later. Ever since that night, I have the biggest ick anytime I see him. He keeps trying to backtrack, but I know he meant what he said about wanting to be polyamorous. It's not so much that he brought it up, it's the 2 other asks after I already said I would never be comfortable with it. It's like that didn't matter to him, he thought he could convince me and it makes me feel awful. What else is he going to pressure me about if I say no? And if he already wants to sleep with someone else, how can I ever trust him not to do it behind my back? I'm still sleeping in the guest room and I'm thinking of just asking for a divorce now when it would be simpler to divide everything up and go our separate ways instead of waiting until years down the line when I get my heart broken. He could go do whatever he wants, and I could find someone who just wants a good solid monogamous relationship with me. The idea is killing me, but I feel like it's going to hurt now no matter what I do. While I do still love him, I don't think I can ever unhear and unsee my husband asking me for an open relationship, and the idea of him touching me makes me feel ill. He's upset and frustrated that I'm punishing him for asking a question, but I honestly don't know what he expected to happen. There is a part of me that thinks maybe divorcing him is being overdramatic, but also, the ick is so strong that I don't have much hope of getting back to where we were. Ida? Edit, gosh, this got a lot of replies. I'm reading through them as best I can. I'm going to take the advice to get an STI test, and my gyno is going to work me in today for that. I don't think he would physically cheat, but better safe than sorry. I do think there is probably someone he's interested in, possibly his friend's wife or maybe even his friend. He's never expressed being visual, but that doesn't mean he isn't. I don't know them very well, so I can't speculate on their role in all of this. I'm going to be charitable and assume there are no machinations from their end, and he just picked this up from his friend and ran with it. I want to be clear that I am not ignoring him. We can talk about whatever else is going on, but I'm not ready to continue this conversation with him and he knows that. I want to be calm for that, and his behavior is not really conducive to a sense of calm right now. Every time he brings it up makes me a little more disgusted with him, but he seems intent on digging the hole instead of letting things settle. That and not taking the first no for an answer is a bigger issue than the poly ask for me. I think I'm going to meet with a lawyer just to go over options. At this point, I don't have a lot of faith in counseling changing how I feel about him now, but I would be willing to try a few sessions to say we gave it a shot. I'll throw that out there tonight and see what he says. Edit 2, he doesn't think counseling is necessary, he just wants to go back to the way things were before bringing it up. I've told him that's not an option, you can't unbreak a bone, it has to heal instead. I asked him if he had someone in mind and he said no, but he's not a very good liar and I don't really believe him. He says it was just an idea and there's no one and nothing has happened, but he also doesn't want to show me the messages between him and his friend so I can understand the content of the conversation they had. I will respect his choice, but it's enough to convince me that there's something he's hiding even if it's not an affair in progress, and that's a problem. I've got an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. I'm going to wait until after that to make a decision, and I'm going to take a short trip alone to see my grandparents this weekend to get some fresh air and perspective. I'll try to update next week after all the test results come back and I've had a chance to look at all the facts with a professional. Thank you for kind support and advice. Top comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I don't think it's overdramatic to get out of a contract you signed with another person when they are trying to change the terms a year into it. Commenter 2. NTA. Polyamory is other relationships, not just open smash. And men oftentimes overestimate their value and ability to get other partners. They also tend to already have someone in mind when asking. Commenter 3. These comments are out of pocket. You are absolutely the jerk for how you're handling this, not necessarily for leaving. Is this rage bait? Your partner brings something to you in what he thinks is a safe space and you shut him down before even knowing what he's asking about. Your post makes it clear you don't know what polyamory is. You refuse to learn anything more about it when asked and refuse to even humor him and think about it for more than the 30 seconds it took to run through the convo you've relayed. You then proceed to passive-aggressively punish him and look for the exit immediately, while he tries to frantically backtrack. What happened to forgiveness, giving grace, or better or worse? My lord. How you should have handled this, gentle but firmly told him that you were against the idea of anything other than monogamy, but that because you loved him you'd read a little bit more about the lifestyle and really consider it. Then read an article or two and as soon as the next day once you guys had both had time to sleep on it, told him, look, I read Xi and Z thing about it as a favor to you, but I'm still wildly uncomfortable with it. After sleeping on it, I can assure you, I'm not ever going to want something other than monogamy. Give him an opportunity to say okay honey, thanks for considering it. I really appreciate you taking this seriously. If he didn't or doesn't then he's showing you a lot. You can't extrapolate from one silly convo. Anyway Uda for not making a safe space for your spouse and giving less than no grace. OP. I know what polyamory is. I don't need to consider to know that there are absolutely no conditions under which I would ever be comfortable having anything but a mutually monogamous romantic and intimate relationship. I know what my boundaries are and so does he. We talked about these kinds of things before we got married. There's nothing to forgive, really. If that's what he wants, I respect him less for backtracking. It means he's wishy-washy and unreliable. He won't stand behind what he says if there are consequences. I think that's part of the revulsion I feel. Not only did he pitch something he knows full well goes against my core values and then persist when I said no, he can't even stand by it afterwards. Like, it would better if he had just said I would like to try this but I hear you when you say you aren't interested at all. This is or isn't a deal breaker for me so let's talk about that part instead of it was just a question, it's not that important, stop refusing to touch me because you're uncomfortable and need space to calm down, I don't like it. Commenter 4. I just read a few comments, so this may have already been said, but let me offer a slightly alternative view from the ones I read. It sounds like he approached you with an idea. Just because you have a certain vision for your marriage doesn't mean that he might not have other ideas that may not match yours. I'm not taking his side by the way. It's not a relationship style that I would necessarily want. His suggestion was polyamory, which is a complicated relationship dynamic. As I understand it, it's not necessarily or typically an open marriage, as some are suggesting. It sounds like you shut him down immediately without engaging in any discussion with him. Sounds like he at least wanted to have a discussion about it to make sure you knew what you were saying no to. Aren't you even curious as to 1, what it is, and 2, why it intrigued him? It doesn't mean you have to say yes. He was just asking a question, no different than a spouse bringing up a kink that the other might not be interested in. Instead of a discussion, you shut him down, are sleeping on the couch, and contemplating divorce. Even when he has tried to backtrack, you're not open to a dialogue. That does seem like a bit of an overreaction. Can you at least talk to him? You are married after all. I can't imagine the tension that must be in your house right now. OP. I already know what it is, and there's really nothing he could find intriguing about it that wouldn't put me off him permanently. Just like some kinks are deal breakers because thinking about the other person getting off over being peed on or whatever is so revolting that you can never see them the same way again. I don't think that talking about it is going to do anything but dig the hole deeper right now. Every time he tries to bring it up just makes the ick worse. And that's why I'm starting to think there's no way out of this that doesn't involve divorce. Update 1, 8 days later. I took advice from the thread and got an STI panel done. Fortunately, it came back clear. I suggested counseling, but my husband does not think it's necessary. I doubt it will change my feelings, so I'm not going to push for it. He is being overly protective of his phone after I asked to see a message conversation between him and his poly friend to understand the context of the situation. I would not violate his privacy, but there clearly is something he doesn't want me to see, and that's enough. It doesn't matter to me anymore whether there is something already in progress or just the desire for there to be. The shadiness of his behavior tells me what I need to know. I've been tempted to contact his friends directly to get their take, but in the event there is infidelity happening, I would rather not burden myself with the details, to be honest. I had a heart-to-heart with my grandparents this weekend and spoke with a lawyer yesterday. As of right now I'm planning to move forward with the divorce. With no kids and no joint property or debt since we were waiting on buying a house till I'm finished with residency, it should be easy to split the financials. The lease on our apartment is up in a couple of months anyway, so I plan to move out after breaking the news and just pay my portion of the rent on the current place until its renewal time. I'm heartbroken, but I'm convinced that this is the best move. I don't trust him anymore. I'm repulsed by his behavior since the ask, and I think it's best to cut our losses before digging the hole deeper. If he was willing to be transparent and do something to work on re-establishing trust, it would be different, but that's not the case, and I don't want to put an effort that he's not interested in putting in. I will be fine with time. So, yeah, not a happy ending, but I think it's in my best overall interest and, if he's not happy with monogamy a year into marriage, his best interest as well. Hopefully, we can part ways quietly and without a lot of fuss. Edit, well, affair confirmed. The people who thought his poly friends were the ones involved called it right. Wife contacted me to come clean and apologize because they were both unaware I didn't know until now. They thought we had a don't ask, don't tell situation, so no fault to them. He lied to them, too. It's been going on for a few months. A fellow resident needs a roommate, so I'm moving in with her in 2 weeks. My dad and uncle are going to come down to help and be my safety exit plan when I tell him it's over. The saddest part to me is that he's been a closeted bi all this time. He could have told me that at any point in the relationship, and I would have supported him or helped him get whatever support he needed. I'm hoping he'll be amenable to doing this quietly and quickly because I know his family will lose their minds if they find out the whole situation, and I don't want that for him as hurt as I am about it. I'm going to focus on work, and my soon-to-be roomie is going through a significant breakup as well, so I think we'll be good for each other. It's going to be okay eventually. Top comments. Commenter 1. You don't think this is a happy ending right now, but future you is gonna be so glad you left. Commenter 2. It is a happy ending, girl. You are meant to be loved unconditionally. Be happy that you found out his true colors so soon. You have no kids, no property. It's an easy separation. Be glad that it's over. Commenter 3. Lamau, you divorced someone because they suggested you consider polyamory? Why not just a few minutes thinking about it and then confirming you're not comfortable and move on? OP. 1. I don't need a few minutes to think about something I've known about myself since I was a teenager watching the many ways other teens crashed and burned their dating relationships. I am monogamous, not interested in lovemaking outside of a committed monogamous relationship, and despite being exposed to many people in college with alternate relationship styles, kink lifestyles, and some with a penchant for just hooking up on the regular, I remain firmly monogamous. I know who I am, I know what polyamory is, and I know I don't want it. 2. It's been a few weeks, and I've had ample time to think about it since he brings it up constantly. I remain utterly uninterested in pursuing anything other than committed monogamy. If someone asked me if I wanted to commit premeditated murder, I wouldn't need a few minutes to think about it to know the answer. You are allowed to simply know things about yourself. Commenter 4. Yada. Or whatever the abbreviation is. Your husband tried to have an honest conversation with you, and you've essentially attacked him for being honest. You have no proof your husband violated the trust of marriage. You haven't tried to understand what he needs. Him not wanting therapy could be a direct response to the way you have behaved. I don't think you are really committed to making this relationship work. Up. I haven't attacked my husband. I've said that I will not be involved in polyamory. I have made no comment about him or polyamory generally in our conversations, simply that it is a deal breaker. I've asked for a space to maintain my sense of calm, which he did not respect. I've asked for context and clarification about what he and his friend discussed, which he has not provided. I asked him if he would be willing to go to therapy, and he said no. I have respected his privacy and made a point to not accuse him of anything or react to him in anger. Honesty is appreciated, but all communication, including honest communication, has consequences. That he was honest in informing me of his desire to be poly is good, but the natural consequence of it is that he effectively announced that we have a fundamental incompatibility as partners. My husband doesn't have to have cheated for me to decide to divorce him. Not accepting no for an answer and refusing to put any effort in to clarify or resolve the situation is reason enough to leave. Suspicion of infidelity is also reason enough to leave someone, it doesn't have to be proven. I understand what he needs. I simply am not willing to provide it, and so the kindest thing to do is break up so that he can pursue his needs and I can pursue mine. If that's his position, that strikes me as a further excellent reason to leave. He has no solution other than pretending it never happened, and he doesn't like my proposal, so I don't see why I would put in effort that he's not putting in. Update 2, 4 days later. I never thought I would be saying this. It was just confirmed today. He's been seeing a polyamorous couple that I thought were just friends for a few months. He asked me about opening up our relationship to polyamory a few weeks ago, and I said no, and things have gone downhill since. I've already been preparing to leave because his behavior crossed a line, and I knew in my heart something more was going on even if I didn't have evidence. The wife of the couple called me to apologize and explain because he finally confessed to them that I didn't know. She wanted to make sure I knew now, and that they never would have engaged with him if they had known I wasn't on board. I don't blame them. He was lying to everyone. I didn't even know he was bisexual. I never saw this coming in the 4 years we've been together. We talked about monogamy and my strong feelings about it before we got married. He totally agreed. I thought we were really happy. There aren't a lot of people I can talk to about this, especially now that I know the full story. His family are religious conservatives and would probably disown him, and I don't want that. My parents and one set of grandparents know I'm leaving him, but not the exact reasons. They support me with or without knowing, but I don't want to tell them the new info. I don't want to put him to mutual friends, nothing good will come of it. I just feel so sad and empty right now. Leaving is the best thing, and I'm committed to it, especially now. But I wonder if I ever really knew him. The person I dated and married would have never done this to me. I'm just glad it happened before we got too deep into being married. I can't imagine having to go through this with kids to protect. He doesn't know I know yet. I'm moving in with a coworker who needs a roommate, so I think I'm going to let it ride until I'm out and the petition is filed, but I also feel ill about going home in a few minutes and looking at him, knowing. Update 3, 1 week later. So many people have been asking to know how things went after I told my soon-to-be ex-husband that I was filing for divorce. I finally have a minute to post after a very busy week. I ended up expediting the timeline a little as his behavior was starting to become concerning. Brief up-to-date, my husband asked for a polyamorous relationship. I said no. He badgered me about it and refused to give me space, then got mad when I refused to discuss it or sleep in the same bed with him while I was trying to calm down. His behavior gave me the ick so bad that I decided it was best to divorce and saw a lawyer to begin the process. My suspicions that there was already something going on were confirmed when the wife of a poly couple that he was friends with contacted me to tell me that he had been involved with them for a few months and had confessed that I didn't know. They broke up with him as a result. The call from the affair partners coincided with my ex trying very hard to apologize and make it right, but without admitting to cheating or anything else. A fellow resident was looking for a roommate, so I made plans to move in with her. I also let my parents and some close friends know the situation. My lawyer advised me to talk to my ex before papers were served, so I had planned to have the talk right before moving out. Which set up an uncomfortable situation in which I was living with a cheating ex who didn't know I knew. The plan was originally to move out next weekend, but things took a bad turn this week. My ex started getting agitated that I wasn't responding to his attempts to smooth things over, and that ultimately escalated into him trying to get into bed with me against my wishes on Thursday. I was able to get an emergency leave from work and mostly moved out while my ex was at work on Friday. My parents drove down and helped and then stayed to be nearby when my ex got home. My lawyer filed Friday. He did not take it well. I told him I knew about the cheating and was filing for a divorce. I also told him that I wanted to do this quietly, that I know his bisexuality puts him in a dangerous situation with his family, and it would be best if we kept the story if he cheated. He could contact me through my lawyer for any information. He yelled, broke down crying, and said he refused to accept the divorce and I should give him a chance to fix things. My dad came in and made sure he didn't try to stop me from leaving, and we left. I called the in-laws on the way and told them that I was divorcing him for cheating and that I appreciated them welcoming me into their family and wished them all well, but I would probably not be in contact again. His parents were shocked, but they reacted with a lot more grace than I expected. I blocked my ex on everything but email because I can't deal with him. My parents had gotten an Airbnb, so I crashed with them and basically fell apart. At this point, I moved in. That part of my life is over. My ex is apparently suicidal, according to a mutual friend. I hope he gets help, because his behavior in the last few weeks has really been strange, so I do wonder if he's not experiencing some kind of mental health episode. It doesn't change the fact that I'm done. I'm not okay, but I will be. Just going to focus on work and taking care of myself for a while. This is probably my last update as I want to turn towards the future. Thank you to those who have offered support and advice. I really do appreciate it.